Hey friends, happy Thursday, the 17th of August. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll share with you a reflection on the daily readings. I invite you to read the readings and then turn off the screens. Turn off the screen, spend some silent time in God in prayer and reflection before you move on to other things. The readings are linked down below. I incorrectly identified yesterday as the 19th of August, but you guys all picked up on that, right? Today is the 17th of August. I think public school started yesterday. I would ask for your prayers again today for everybody involved in public education. It's a good thing to be praying, especially St. Paul in his letter to the Philippians. As you begin any task, pray that the Lord who has begun the good work in you may bring it to fulfillment or bring it to perfection. Be praying for God's will to be done in our public schools. All right, we have a reading from the book of Joshua and then also from the book of Matthew, right? The book of Joshua, we hear about a sign of the Lord. The people need to cross the Jordan River. It is overflowing its banks, all in this time of the harvest season. But don't be afraid, because Joshua, who has received the mantle of leadership from Moses, there we go, is leading the people, and he has received instructions from the Lord of how they are to do it. And they are to carry the ark, that symbol of God who is pilgrimaging with the people, carry the ark into the Jordan, and then the Jordan, will obey the commands of the King of Creation, and it, basically creates a dam, and it dams up the entire river, and it stacks up, and the people pass through dry shod. What does that sound like? What's the echo there? Doesn't that sound a lot like Moses leading the people through the Red Sea? So instead of, staff and outstretched arms, it's Ark of the Covenant that goes before him. It's important, right? Like Joshua is doing this, or perhaps to say it differently, God has chosen Joshua to do this in order to demonstrate that it's not just the last generation, but that indeed God is with them as the people. That God is doing wonderful things, not just in the past, but here and now in the present. And that's always good, to remember that it's not just the glories of the golden days, but that indeed God's goodness is not exhausted, and that it still continues on with us. And so, as you pray, perhaps, into the goodness of God, the ways that God has, touched your lives and brought blessing into your life, perhaps also ask for the grace to see the way that the Lord is working powerfully in your life today. Maybe not the same way, right? But still that there are echoes and signs and grace that God is working even to this day. I invite you to pray the Psalm response, 114. It speaks of the goodness of God and the ways that God was present in the people, and it expressly talks about the stopping up of the Jordan so that the people could pass. Matthew's Gospel. Yesterday we had an instruction from Jesus about how to, confront, how to challenge, how to reconcile damaged relationships. And so now, kind of in response to that, Peter's like, okay, we get it, but when you challenge us to do this, what do we got to do? Do we got to forgive someone who asks for our forgiveness 7 times? And Jesus is like, no, buddy, not 7 times, but 77 times, right? And remember that in Luke's gospel, that's 7 times 70 times is how Luke tells us. This is meant to be an expression of perfection, because it's the number 7, but also abundance and not exhaustible. And do not be keeping those tally marks, right? And you're like, all right, man, I've forgiven this person 72 times. I only have 5 more times, and then they're dead to me. That is not the case. We are not taking this literally, right? Read the parable. I think that it's pretty straightforward. Here would be my invitation in order to pray into it. Who's most driving you crazy these days? What relationship is most damaged? Where are you holding that grudge or that resentment or that inability to forgive? So, think about that. Think about that person. Put it on a shelf for a sec. And then, what's the worst sin in your life? And God willing, you've already turned to the Lord and asked for forgiveness. I'm not bringing this up to rekindle shame. Not at all. What's the worst sin in your life? Where have you experienced abundant mercy and forgiveness from God, and maybe from other people as well? To know that you are not defined by the worst choice that you made or the worst day of your life. Hold that, and especially feel the forgiveness that is there. and feel just that goodness, and know that you don't deserve forgiveness, but the forgiveness is a freely given grace because of love, God's love for you and the love of others for you. So really experience that, and then take that and pray that into whatever relationship is strained, whatever resentment you might be holding in your heart. Just pray that same merciful, pardoning, reconciling love back over that strained relationship. And as you have been forgiven, so you are called to forgive. And just a reminder, you don't do it on your own, right? I think that we can do this in that self-sufficient, independent, in control, strong sort of a mindset. Ask for the grace that you need. Ask for the healing that you need of your heart, especially if it's been wounded, to just help you to love, and to love with the mercy, the forgiveness, and the care of our God, right? So that would be how I would pray that parable if I were you. Now, how are you going to pray that parable? Because I'm done. You're going to read those readings prayerfully, then turn off the screen. Spend some time with God before you move on to other things. Happy Thursday, y'all. God bless.